Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Kansas City Ballet's Dancer Chat. My name is Consuelo Cruz, and I'm the Marketing and Community Engagement Manager at Belger Cartage Service and Belger Arts. I'm thrilled to be joined by two members of the Kansas City Ballet Dance Company, Emily Mistretta and Humberto Rivera Blanco. Tonight's Dance Chat is number 4 in the series, and this is a new community engagement and education series that's designed to engage the broader public with professional dancers at the Kansas City Ballet. And with each dancer chat, we get an opportunity to get to know different company dancers in a relaxed and informal setting. And we get to a behind the scenes perspective, learn about the dancers, what they're doing when they're not on stage, everything from their backgrounds to their experiences and their views on a number of topics of the day. And speaking of topics of the day, there's a lot happening in the world, and today is no exception. It's Inauguration Day in the United States. So thank you for taking a little break from the news, taking a little art break and joining us tonight and tuning in. All right, Emily and Humberto, how are you?
We're good.
Good. Pretty good.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be talking to you today, and I know that you both joined the Kansas City Ballet in 2016. Neither one of you is from Kansas City, and you each have a very unique path that led you to careers in dance and that brought you to Kansas City. So Emily, I'm gonna start with you with the first question. Tell us a little bit about where you're from, about your family, and how you got started in dance.
I'm from California originally, and I got started in dance. I think originally I wanted to be an ice skater. I was like obsessed with the costumes and everything, and I had my own little costume and I would dance around in front of the TV. Mm-hmm. And so I think my mom kind of got the hint, and she was like, okay, we'll try her in a dance class.
So would you watch all the skating shows, and did you have a favorite dance, ice dancer or skater?
I can't even remember. I just remember like I just wanted to move to the music, and I would dance around in front of the TV, like annoying my siblings.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, it was so nice of your mother to latch on to understand what you were experiencing, and then to direct you to. Did she direct you to skating, or did she direct you to dance first?
No, she went right to dance. My mom was a dancer. She didn't do it professionally. Oh, there's me.
There's you.
I'm like 11 right there in my first photo shoot. I think I'm in a snow costume from the Nutcracker.
Oh my goodness.
But she was a dancer, and so I think there was no way she was going to put me in ice skating. Though, so it was good. I mean, I really took to it, so I think she knew. What's going on.
And so, what kind of dance did your mom do?
She was a ballet dancer as well. Okay. She didn't go as professionally, but she had the inkling, and she danced for a while, so she had the love for it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your family is from California also. Was she the only member of the family that who danced?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually telling the whole story because my grandmother, this is actually stemming from my grandmother who loved dance and just never did it herself. Okay. And so she got her daughters kind of involved. And then my mom was the one that took it the furthest. And so I'm kind of the result of 3 generations to finally be a professional dancer now.
Wow. Okay. And here you are. And this is a little younger.
Yeah, I think I'm like 6 or 7 here.
Okay.
I'm in a little bonbon costume from the Nutcracker. That was my first role.
Oh my gosh, the Nutcracker.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big role to be for your first one. Congratulations. Yeah. Humberto, what about you? Where are you from? And what is your family? Were they dancers? Do you come from a family of dancers as well?
Well, I'm from Cuba, and no, I don't come from like family dancer. I'm the only one in my family. I don't know nobody that danced before, so I'm the only one. I'm the one that started that career. for the one that come behind now.
And
My family is like, I started the ballet. I was in the school, in the normal school, and they were like doing tests around every school in Cuba, trying to like get people with like a little condition and stuff. So I got picked. I was the only guy in my school to like got picked. And
for
then I
dance?
talked, yeah, for like dance. It was not like ballet for real, yeah, but it was the beginning. And then I talked to my mom and my dad. They don't even knew about ballet so much, but they like approved me and went like, yeah, if you want to do that, let's do it.
That's great. And okay, so here you are.
That's me, like about 9 years old in the school, like in activity, dancing in front of everyone.
And what kind of a dance were you doing here? Do you remember?
It's like pretty simple, like a group dance that we always like choreograph for like every like end of the year or like kind of like that.
Like a recital, like an end of year recital or presentation.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it sounds like both of your families were very encouraging. So that's always a plus.
Yeah.
When you decided to continue dance as a career, what did your family think? You know, it's one thing to say, oh, it's nice that they're taking classes and you know they have an interest in dance. But when you actually said, I want to follow this as a career, did they continue to stay encouraging?
Yeah, they always like try to help me with like everything that I do in my life. And I never thought like one day that I was gonna quit ballet, yeah. So I never like went down went like that way, yeah. So they always like help me with everything. Like when I start to like got hard, real like in that picture, you're a little old, like 15 years old. It's like they realized that like ballet was hard. Not like it looks like pretty when you do it good and looks easy, but it's not that easy. Right there, I'm like 9 years old. I'm looking, probably someone did something in the group.
And your teacher's watching right next to you, so no pressure.
My teacher is probably say something to that guy. That's why I'm looking back, like what happened.
Well, and Emily, was your family the same? You know, they were very encouraging for dance as a career as well.
Yeah, they were very supportive. They were supportive the whole time. And when I kind of was trying to go for it, they were there like throughout all of it. So they witnessed how hard it is and the commitment. And so they really understood it, which is lucky, because I don't know if like everyone's parents really fully understand the weight of that decision. But I think it sounds like Humberto's parents too, they really got it. They really got what was going into it, and they really like admire it, and they were like part of the sacrifice with me. So they were definitely supportive.
Yeah,
they still are.
Well, good. So Humberto, you were, you know, I don't know, in Cuba, do they have, I know there are usually more female dancers in the United States than male dancers. Is that the case in Cuba too when you were training, or is it different?
Yeah, it's always like, let's say like 2 girls for a guy. So we have like 20 guys in my group and we'll have like 40 girls. But we have like a lot of guys too. And here in America, it's like, it's hard to like see like a lot of guys like in the same like group with the same age. Like that.
Yeah. Okay. So Emily, before you came to the Kansas City Ballet, well, you went from the Pacific Coast, from California, and then did you go to Boston after that? Okay. And then how did you end up in Kansas City? How did you decide to audition for the Kansas City Ballet after going from coast to coast, and then you went to the middle of the country?
Yeah, I didn't really decide to audition. It kind of just like worked out. I mean, I kind of worked out that way when I was going to Boston as well too. I just kind of worked my way up through the ranks. Yeah, that's me when I'm like in my early 20s with Boston performing La Ballet. But I think, yeah, it just kind of happened, and I'm lucky that it happened that way, because that isn't normally the way that you are able to get a job. I knew Devin. He was coming to Boston kind of regularly throughout the years that I danced there, so we knew each other. And he offered me the job there. He came to a show, but he had known me before, just seeing the performance, and offered me the job then.
And you're talking about Devin Carney, who's the artistic director for the Kansas City Ballet. Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. So he kind of recruited you. He knew you, and then he saw you in Boston and invited you to audition then.
Yeah, to come join the company.
Yeah. And Humberto, was your experience kind of similar? Because you went from, did you go from Cuba to Miami and then Miami to Kansas City, or were there other stops along the way?
No, that's the way that I made. But in Miami, I was not in a company. I was in the school waiting for like training and waiting for getting my purple to be able to like work here.
Okay.
And like for a whole year. And then I was looking for like my first job here in America, and then Devon contacted me and give me the job too with our audition, like Emily did too. I was kind of lucky.
Well, so you're saying that's not usually typical, because usually you'll have to do like an in-person audition normally, and okay. So
usually you have to like send your resume, then your video resume, then you have to go there and audition, and then maybe a second one. So it's kind of like a lot of things. A
lot of different steps that are involved. So we'll thank you, Devin, because thanks to him, you're both here. We appreciate Devin kind of shepherding that process to get you to Kansas City. And Emily, once you got to when you first heard about Kansas City, did you kind of wonder about the city, or were there questions, or were there surprises when you came here? Because you'd never visited Kansas City before, correct?
Yeah, no, I'd never been here ever in my life before. So I had no idea what to expect from the city. And I just didn't know what it would be like at all. But I was definitely surprised. I was pleasantly surprised, because it was this bigger city than I thought. But it was also still like a homey city, kind of the way that Boston feels to New York. It's a little bit of like a compact, smaller city. And Kansas City had that vibe to it as well. Yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know it would have so many young people in it. I didn't know that, it seems like a youthful city, and I didn't know that it would be so artsy as it is. There's that whole art scene in the Crossroads, the First Fridays, where you can go and see open house galleries. And I didn't know the vibe of the city at all.
Well, good. I'm glad you were pleasantly surprised, because that means you'll perhaps stay with us a little longer. And Humberto, you had never been to Kansas City either, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And go ahead.
When I got here, it was kind of like the same, Emily, but a little more like rough, because I'm from Cuba. So, so I got here, like I didn't know what to expect, but the people was the first impression that I got. Like, people heard me in the beginning to like get a rent, like figure it out how I have to do it with my English and everything. And yeah, what Emily was saying, the city is like, it's better than what I was expecting. What people was telling me, it's like very like, they like really involved with the sport, with art, like you can do a lot of stuff in Kansas City.
Well, and you mentioned, with navigating not just a new city, but you were also learning English. So did you know, the ballet has about 30 members, and about and that includes apprentices. About 9 of those members are not from the United States. You have Brazil, you've got Cuba, you've got Japan and China and Italy and France, just as examples. So I think Amaya had already arrived, and she's from Cuba. So did she help you learn English, or was she learning English too? Were there other people in the company that were also trying to navigate different things like you were when you first came, and how did that all work out?
I think Amaya and me, we were in the same situation. We were trying to like learn English both. The Brazilian people, Lamin Pereira, they really help a lot with the English when translating everything that we need to, like, that we didn't understand. Mm-hmm. And then the people, like, everyone trying to help, but when you don't understand nothing, it's like it's really hard to like help you. So it was really hard at the beginning.
We did a lot of talking with our hands, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it's one thing to navigate a city and to move and get settled, but Emily, I mean, how do you communicate with Humberto if he has to lift you and you're not sure what's what the next step is? How did that dynamic take place?
We were lucky actually, because we both came the same year, and we had a friend of mine from Boston, a dancer, Yuri Nowski, who's also a choreographer, and he's from Spain, and he came to set this piece on Humberto and I. That was probably the first time we worked together. Mm-hmm. And luckily him and Humberto could communicate completely, and I think Humberto felt comfortable because he's like, okay, you're speaking the same language.
That was the best time that year, probably.
yeah, probably. But so I think then it was like, I trusted Yuri, I trusted Humberto, and so they would come up with the lift, and then Yuri would be like, Emily, go. And so I would just like run and just trust that it was going to work out.
That's a lot of trust.
Yeah,
that's for sure. And Yuri was did you say was a choreographer?
Yeah, he was a dancer, and he's a choreographer now.
Okay. Well, that helped. You've got a little UN going at the Kansas City Ballet, so that definitely helped with the dance. How in addition to ballet, what other dance forms or techniques have you trained in as a dancer, and do you continue work? If you did have others, do you continue working in those areas? Humberto, let's start with you.
In the school in Cuba, you have like a big preparation. Like we will do like technique class when it's all about like moving your body, and we will do like folklore, like African dance. We will do a lot of the technique. Mm-hmm. Like we really have to like do tests with that and like remember the music and the dance, how you do it. But I'm not still doing it right now. Mm-hmm. It's like it's really hard to like have time to like do like extra now.
An extra form of dance.
Yes.
Now, Emily, is that the case for you as well?
Yeah, I think mainly when you're young in ballet, you also do like jazz, or I never did tap, but I did jazz, I did hip hop, I did like character dancing, like folk dancing, like Humberto's talking about. Mm-hmm. And then when I was older, I started, I got involved in a contemporary program. And this man, Ohad Naharin, came up with his own technique for the body, for movement, called Gaga. Huh. And I learned that technique, and I trained in that for a while. And that's like, people are still doing that all the time. I haven't taken a class or done it in a while, but it's just a different way to access your body. It's very like trying to be outside of the rigors of technique, ballet technique, and use all the little tiny intrinsic muscles and think about dance in a different way. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I haven't really done any other technique. And like Humberto said, when you're dancing professionally, you're kind of just trying to
focus.
Yeah.
And how do you? I mean, you all have lives. You all have what you bring from where you grew up, and your own perspectives. How do you integrate all of that into the roles that you take on, and how do you integrate your past experiences into your performances?
I think you kind of, I don't know if you do it consciously, but you kind of can't help but do that. You've learned something from each time you've performed, or you're in a different headspace than the time you did it however many years ago. You gain more experience, you develop as an artist, and you naturally become more established with that. This is me and Lamine in Lady the Camellias by Val Canaparelli. But yeah, even in this, you're bringing your experiences that you've had for all of your years with you into like a role like this, I guess.
And Humberto, what about you?
I was thinking the in ballet is a lot of acting too. We have to like act, and for like the people to be able to understand. And then at those moments, like you bring, if you have to like be mad or sad, like you kind of like remember those moments that you were like really like mad or something like that, and then you will bring it on and then do it, feel it there.
Were you mad in this one?
No, this is more interesting. This is Emily's piece.
Yes. And so Emily choreographed this one, and this is part of New Moves.
Yeah.
And you're the one that's standing, correct? I'm looking at.
Yeah, I'm standing, kind of looking at them like, I guess, even though they look really good there.
I'm the one in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and that leads me to one of my next questions. Emily, you began choreographing with the Kansas City Ballet through the New Moves series. Can you talk a little bit about what New Moves is, and how you ended up becoming a choreographer too?
Yes, I'm a choreographer. New Moves is like an in-house show. We don't do it on the Kaufman. We do it at the Bollinger Center, so it's a little bit more intimate, black box theater style. And I started doing it. I think I have to give credit to Christy, because I think, well, of course, in Devon too, they like to use dancers as well, give dancers a chance to kind of develop their skills as choreographers. And I think that they wanted to try and start extending that more towards women. And Christy came into the studio and was looking for any women that would be interested in choreographing. And I've had it in the back of my mind for the past couple of years. And I kind of gave her like a hesitant look, and she was like, "Oh, here's the paper, I'll fill it out. You can do it." And I think it was just her. It was like too late. I'd already like signed the deal. So she gave me a little push that I needed, I think.
Good. And so what is in this photo?
This is the beginning of my first piece with Kansas City Ballet.
Okay.
And this is Beyond Blood. They're just entering. This is the end, Humberto. I can't remember.
Yeah, this is the end, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You started by yourself. Yeah. And this is it again. Okay. That's just Alyssa being like a superhero behind them.
And so these photos were taken in the Todd Bollinger Center, because that's where this was performed, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
This is the performance.
Okay. Well, gosh, you must be so proud. I mean, how did you feel after that first one?
That was great. The first one was awesome. Yeah. And it's such a big thing to take on, all of a sudden being the person in the front of the room as opposed to being the person taking the direction. You have to come up with the direction. You have to be decisive, and you have to be in charge. So it was a big deal. That's why it was good for me. I just worked with such a small group that first time, just 3 dancers, and we could kind of like create and collaborate a little bit together. And it was a pretty short piece. But yeah, it was
It looked really easy for you. I
You
remember.
did it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's nice.
yeah, that is nice. And what was that experience like for you? Because Humberto, you've been choreographed by fellow dancers as well, not just Emily, or am I mistaken?
Yeah. I think
Or
it's Emily because I didn't do Chris. We didn't get to do
okay.
it. I think it was
Hmm.
just Emily.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you got tag teamed in a good direction, Emily. You, Devin, and you said Christy. And what is Christy? What's Christy's role at the ballet?
She's one of our ballet masters.
Okay.
She
Okay.
teaches our classes and coaches us, runs rehearsal.
So those opportunities that you just mentioned, the new moves with the new moves program and getting more dancers in on to do choreography, is that something unique to the ballet, or are ballet companies kind of going more in that direction to nurture new talent, and especially women, because you, as you said, choreographers are continue to mostly be men?
Yeah, I think it's a thing that a lot of, or not a lot, but ballet companies are starting to do. So Kansas City is definitely on board with that new energy. Yeah.
Okay. And was there when you when if you're, as you kind of navigate how your careers are going, um, are there places that you explore, outside of ballet, to kind of like, are there any um, leadership training or workshops that are also offered to ballet dancers, or that maybe not are directly related to the dance form, or is it primarily related to dance?
I think it's primarily related to dance. I mean, there's also like, you can go to college as well through the union and do things that are completely unrelated to it. But as far as it, I haven't really investigated in any of that.
Mhm. Okay. Is there and is there an experience or a person that you feel greatly impacted your life, or personally or professionally, or your dance career um, up to this point? And since you've mentioned Devin a couple of times, and you've mentioned Christy, but is there anyone that really impacted your or kind of made you rethink how you're going along your path?
Yeah, I think it happens at different points in
Mhm.
your career, in your life. Like, I think for me, there was a woman, Summer Lee Radigan, and that was the same. She was the teacher, but also she kind of started San Francisco Conservatory of Dance, and that's where I originally went to get the Gaga training.
Okay.
But I went to her when I was younger in high school, and before I had been there, I didn't really have my mind open to the fact that you could even do this for a living.
Oh, wow.
So I think that she was a pretty important person in that way. And of
Mhm.
course, there's been other people along my career that have helped, but that was the initial, like, oh, I'm gonna try and actually do this.
Yeah. Humberto, I'm going to ask you that same question, but we're at the right after our I do my halfway station identification. We're now at about 6:30. We're at the halfway mark. Thank you for staying with us for the Kansas City Ballet's Dancer Chat. For those who are just tuning in, I'm Consuelo Cruz, Marketing and Community Engagement Manager at Belger Cartage Service and Belger Arts, and I'm chatting with Emily Mistretta and Humberto Rivera Blanco. Both are members of the Kansas City Ballet Company. If you are enjoying tonight's chat, please consider supporting the Kansas City Ballet by clicking on the donate button, or by going to kcballet.org. And we're, because COVID is keeping us from seeing these beautiful dancers on stage doesn't mean that the people at the ballet are not working hard behind the scenes to bring you programs like this one and many others, where they're connecting to community through online classes and programs and so much more. So I really encourage you to go to kcballet.org to learn more about the programs that they're putting on. And that's the station identification. We're at the halfway mark. So thank you for joining us. Let's see, Humberto, we were talking about people who have been formative in your career, who have kind of impacted you professionally or personally. Is there someone that you want to talk about, or that you recall on your trajectory so far?
Yeah, I feel like Emily too. There is like, you have like kind of like a lot of people in with that. Like for me, like that teacher that it was in the picture at the beginning with me, that was like kind of like one person that like I always remember. It's like this Cuban dancer, Carlos Acosta, is the guy that I would look like every video to like trying to be like him and like copy him, kind of.
And also, Humberto, you studied at the National Ballet Academy in Cuba under the direction of Alicia Alonso. So you were probably, you like Emily were surrounded by pretty iconic figures in dance. You know, that's pretty huge. So
I feel pretty lucky for like that side, because I was being around like amazing dancers. When I got to the company, Alicia Alonso already was like pretty old, and like she couldn't like go every day to the company, but the day that she would go, like she would sit and watch rehearsal and listen to like the points in the floor and like see if the girls or like people are like out of the account or something like that.
Well, and because Alicia was blind, blind, she couldn't see from a very young age, but it deteriorated throughout her life. So that's an incredible story as well. Here's a question that came on from Facebook. So, and this is from Tim. When dancers are deciding which form of dance to dedicate themselves to, have you found that there are similar personality characteristics that ballet dancers share? Emily, do you want to take a stab at that one?
If I think that ballet dancers share more similar personalities over different dancers?
Well, it says, when you're deciding which form of dance to dedicate yourself to, have you found that there are similar personality characteristics that ballet dancers share?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, we all get along so well generally, that there has to be similarities between us all. We're performing artists. We have so much drive and discipline. So it does develop like a certain type of temperament in somebody. You know, we're very theater people. We're storytellers. We make each other laugh. Yeah, I would say yes. I guess I do think that we can be pretty similar to each other.
Yeah, Humberto, do you agree, or do you have anything to add?
I agree with Emily. I feel like we like kind of have like a similar goal. Like we are like athletic person. We like being around like each other like for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of switching gears a little bit, but if you didn't pick dance as a career, what career would you have chosen?
I would probably choose like soccer, some sport, probably like soccer. That's my favorite.
Like soccer. That sounds exciting as well. And then you're basically on stage in the field. So yeah, there's some similarities.
Yes.
And who would you want to play for?
Real Madrid.
Real Madrid. Okay. Okay, your Real Madrid fans out there. Emily, what would you have chosen?
I'd probably still be an artist in some capacity, I think.
Like a performing artist or a visual artist or?
I think probably a performing artist. I love acting, so I feel like I would have maybe gone more towards acting because I that's what I love about dance is the acting portion of it. So I feel like I would have gone into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? So of all the ballets that you've been in, Emily, what do you think was the most challenging one, and what made it especially challenging?
It's funny because you can have different kinds of challenging. And so it's hard to say what's the most challenging. You have ballets that are like in the middle, somewhat elevated. It's so hard. No, there it is right there. It's so hard technically, like so hard. You're so exhausted, but you're also like having the best time ever. And then you have ballets that are like so stressful that you're not really enjoying yourself while you're dancing them. You're kind of like, you're just kind of, you have a sense of like accomplishment and ease that you did it, but you're not necessarily like out there like having a ball or something. And you have ballets that are really mentally challenging, like some of like the Yuri Killian stuff. I did a ballet in Boston called Tar and Feathers, and you have to be this is a Yuri Killian ballet, actually, Petite Moore, with me and Lamine. But you have to be so like mentally focused. You're to be so in it. So I think it comes in all different ways. Sometimes it's physical, sometimes it's mental, or sometimes with like Lady the Camellias, it's an acting role, so you have to be in it the whole time. But that didn't really feel difficult because you just are playing this character. So you kind of just step into that person and let the story carry you through. There's Lady.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Humberto, did you have anything to add, or did you have a ballet that you found especially challenging?
I have one ballet like especially that is like really like stressful for me because like it was like mentally, like technically hard, but it was hard technically, but it was like more like mental. That was like for me it was like probably the hardest ballet I ever done, and for that reason. We I think we have a picture, like I don't remember what is it. Emma, you remember the name? I forgot.
The Lottery?
The Lottery?
Yeah, The Lottery.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that ballet was scary at the end.
Well, that was scary, right? Yeah, because we didn't know who was going to do the last solo.
Yeah, can you give people a little background on what The Lottery, the for anyone who's not seen the ballet The Lottery or know the premise behind it, can you give a little summary?
So you like that's me doing a pas de deux with what is it? Molly? Molly, yeah. She's
Molly
not in
Wagner.
the company anymore. Yeah. And the hardest part of that ballet was when you got at the end, it's a box in the whole ballet that is someone like carry around, and it's like with a lot of papers inside, and you have to like pick one paper for like person, and whoever get the black circle in the middle is the one that have to do the solo at the end. And it was really scary to like be picked to like doing that solo. It was long and hard.
Yeah, it was really long, hard solo, and it was like the very last thing in the ballet. So everyone
and you all don't know who's going to be picked for real.
Yeah, it was a real on-stage lottery.
Yeah,
it was a real lottery.
Yeah. That would be scary for sure. If you're okay with that, I'm going to do another question from the audience. And let's see, it's from Blair, and I hope I'm pronouncing the person's last name, Blair Beiser. Okay, I'm going to read it directly. It says, It seems like there's been a lot of talk lately about mental health issues in ballet, especially with younger dancers dealing with body image issues, competing for roles, trying to please the artistic director and ballet masters, etc. As senior dancers, do you have any suggestions for ballet companies? I'm gonna start with you, Emily. What do you?
Yeah, I think that mental health has been kind of left off of the conversation for a while in ballet. And I think probably ballet companies, we need to just start with making it more accessible. You know, we see physical therapists and we see them on the regular. And I think we might need to start bringing mental health into the thing, not where you just see somebody once a year, but where it's provided and it's talked about and it becomes like less of a taboo thing, I think too. But I just think ballet companies need to start making that more a part of the conversation, the same way that our physical health is a part of the conversation. By just having the service provided or yeah, just bringing that into the company's atmosphere.
Okay. Humberto, what are your thoughts? What are your suggestions?
What I feel is that it's like it's a hard career, and then we always like kind of like competing with ourselves, with the people around you, to like who get the best role, or who do the other part. Then I feel, yeah, people have to be like really strong sometimes, like don't go down and then feel bad about themselves, and like, I don't know, really like feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think people need help navigating that. You know, it's such a critical art form and we've learned to criticize ourselves, but you have to like know when you're just being cruel to yourself or when you're like it's being productive. And so you know, we've been able to navigate that ourselves, but it doesn't come as naturally to everybody, and it doesn't come as natural to us at certain parts in our life too, you know, the self-confidence thing. So
well, and just the whole audition process, you get rejected, or when you're up for a role and that you really want and you may not necessarily get that. That's hard enough in and of itself, but you know, the other aspects of ballet I can only imagine are not, like Humberto said, you have to be really strong,
yeah,
to support that all mentally. So, well, those are really good questions. Thank you, Tim and Blair, for the questions, and thank you for your responses, Emily and Humberto. Okay, so now I'm gonna kind of switch gears a little bit to talk about, you know, especially with COVID, you have had to pivot a lot on, you know, how you rehearse, what your daily schedule looks like. So can you share what your artistic practice looks like and what you do on a daily basis to keep up with the art form and with the craft? Whoever wants to go first.
oh. I think that like deep in COVID in the pandemic, it was tricky for sure, because you're trying to stay in shape, but it doesn't really like, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. So it was hard to motivate. And I took a while, I was taking class for a long time. And then you kind of were like, okay, I can't do this class anymore on this computer. And I would try doing other things like running or hiking outside or doing stuff to switch it up where you can still feel like you're fit, but you're not necessarily honing the craft. I mean, you can't really hone the craft in your point shoes when you're like on a concrete floor. So you have to end up kind of pivoting and staying inspired in other ways while still trying to kind of like do the class when you can. But I had to like take a break actually for a while from doing the video class because we were doing it for months, because you have to, you can't just stop, you know, you won't ever be able to dance again if you just stop.
Mhm.
So, but there was a balance for sure. There was a balancing act for me. I don't know about you.
Humberto, what was
We
how's your practice been affected?
it's been really hard, like Emily said, like it's like you can know, like go to the gym sometime, like you sometimes you don't have a space in your house to like kind of like do like a good class and warm up a little bit, and then you kind of have to do like other stuff, like Emily said, like I don't know, run or like different kind of like exercise that we normally don't do to like get in shape. The worst part for me especially is that we are like not able to like perform in front of the people. That's why we like rehearse, and like that's why we dance for like that moment, like in front of the people. And then without that feels like, I don't know, something is left.
Yeah, definitely. Like rehearsing is for the performance, and that's like what
Yeah.
really keeps us coming back as dancers, is that feeling of being on stage. So I feel that a lot too. And I helped me a little bit too. I started doing like little projects here and there to feel like you're kind of working towards something, because otherwise it kind of felt like you're just like spinning your wheels.
Mhm. Well, we miss you guys too a lot. So if I hope that, I hope that means, because we miss you too a lot. I think we all miss that exchange of just watching you, but also of like this one, um,
That's
tulips
me.
and lobster.
Tulips and lobster, yeah, with Fu and Lamine.
Yeah, I mean, um, that must be especially difficult. You just mentioned the floors alone and the space. I mean, that's a big adjustment.
Yeah.
And if I understand correctly, you are all in pods. And then do you now rehearse in pods, or how does that work?
Yeah, we're in pods. And I mean, that being said, it's great that we're even working, because there's so many companies that aren't dancing. So it has been really incredible that we figured out a way to get back to the studio. But yeah, we're dancing in pods, which is kind of strange because you're only with a small amount of the company when you're used to seeing everybody.
Yeah.
But it's been working fine, and we rehearse. We have a little bit of a shorter day than we're used to, and we rehearse for our digital season. So we're still getting to rehearse, and we'll get to film, and the filming day kind of ends up being like our performance. And it does feel, it's different because you don't have the adrenaline of the audience, but you do feel, when the camera's on, that take is kind of like, you have to be on, and you put more energy into it than you do just naturally. So it resembles performing a little bit in that way.
Well, and then with the digital dynamic, you're also at different spaces. So it's not like you're going to be at Kaufman and you know what that stage is like. You're navigating a whole different way of dancing in a space
Yeah.
with different people. So yeah, that's got to be a
And
little
the camera angle, I think sometimes that's strange. We don't know where our front is, so we project our energy to a certain angle. Sometimes you project your energy behind you if you've got your back turned to the audience. And so with the camera, we don't know where. I'm like, maybe I'm not even on the camera right now. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's a little different too.
Do you get to see the final product, like the final film or shoot right afterwards, or do you kind of have to wait a little bit?
Kind of wait. Sometimes we get to see like snippets, but we don't see the full thing. So then that's a whole other weird thing. You get to watch your own show when everyone else sees it too.
Yeah. So okay, so you talked about the rehearsal a little bit and the performances that you get to do for the digital series. And everybody out in Facebook land, if you are interested in seeing the videos, please go to kcballet.org to learn more about the digital series. I think you've done one at the Nerman Museum, the Kemper Museum, and the Nelson Atkins, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Is there, okay, we're at, and oh, by the way, they have not been released yet. So, so stay tuned. I've seen them on Facebook, how the shoots are going. So stay tuned. They're not released yet. So, but go to the website to check in every once in a while. And on social media to see when they're released. Is there, when you're not rehearsing, is there a self-care regimen that you do or daily?
Yeah, I take I usually do like hot baths. I take a hot bath for my sore muscles. I think that's the thing that helps me the most. And then I usually stretch afterwards. So that's my go-to. That makes me feel like normal when we're performing. And so I kind of just keep that same thing going.
Yeah, I do the same. I feel like I do like warm bath and cold bath, and that's and like a stretch. That's kind of like what you need at the end of the day.
Yeah. And here you're in this image with Angelina Sansone. Here in the Nutcracker.
In the Nutcracker, doing the Snow King with Angie.
Was that the first Nutcracker that you were in Kansas City?
No, I don't think that was the first one.
Okay.
I think that was my second year, I think.
Okay. Okay. Is there for either one of you, is there anything that you wished people knew or understood more about the ballet?
You go.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I always feel that like people have no idea how like hard and difficult, like we were talking about mentally and like physical, like it's ballet to like make it look so easy in the stage and make it look like it's nothing. That's like when it became like art. But it's really hard.
Totally. I think too, I wish that or I want people to know that it's more than Nutcracker and more than being super classical, and that it can be a lot of different things. It can be really fierce, it can be really sad, it can be like, it can make your heart pump, it can be exciting. And I think, not that Nutcracker isn't, but I think it's not just purely classical. It has so many different facets, it has so many different genres to it. It's theater, it's like so expressive. So I think the more people, there's so many things for different people. So I think that it would be, and the more people realize it, the more they would kind of see that. That was from New Moves, that last one.
Okay.
Both of the last two are from New Moves. This is Chris Constantini's piece, and this is Haley Costa's piece.
Okay.
That was very hard to dance with that thing on my head, but it looked really cool.
It looks really cool.
You could see. It was hard because you did moves and the whole scarf would like kind of drop down. And then Lamine and I actually did like a little pas de deux with that, both wrapped around our heads, but it was very cool. But it was hard to know what I looked like at all. Yeah.
Well, it looks like it looks beautiful. So at least you got to see the photos, right?
Yeah. It's hard to stay upright.
Well, as I one of the other things that we've talked about dance for almost the entire hour. Is there as in addition to being a dancer, how would you identify yourself? I'll start with you, Emily.
I don't know. I identify myself as a woman and Italian, and my mom's side is a little English and French, and from California. I'm an American. ballet is a big part of your identity. I think that's why it's kind of hard to leave it.
For sure.
But you know, but there's a totally normal side to us all too. You know, I have like 2 little kittens, and I like hanging out with my friends, and you know, there's a normal part that you can check out of your intense ballet mindset.
Good. How about you, Humberto?
Like, I forgot what I was gonna say. Like I lost it with Emily. Can you say the question again? Sorry.
Oh yeah. How, in addition to being a dancer, how do you identify yourself?
Oh yeah, right. And I identify myself like as a male, Cuban male, came from like a small country. Like Emily said, like ballet is a big part of my life. Family. That's all I can say.
How do you both stay connected to your family? Do you Zoom a lot? Do you meet halfway somewhere, or how do you stay in touch?
I have to call my mom every night. If I don't call my mom every night, she is gonna be mad.
Oh, well, good. Great. Yeah, just phone calls and Zoom. Sometimes group FaceTimes.
Yeah. Do you have any family here in Kansas City, either one of you? No? Okay. That's
No.
especially hard. Yeah. That's really tough. So I'm glad that you have the communication and that you get to call your mom every night and stay connected. Okay. There is as I mentioned at the top of the hour, there's a lot going on in the world. Is there anything, and I'll start out with you, Humberto, is there anything that you're thinking about as an artist in this current climate, or that's on your heart right now?
It's a really hard time for like everyone. So like how I feel is like how what I live is like it's like such a different situation. We were talking about like we're dancing like in little groups now, with the mask in the face. Like everything feels so different. You like rehearsing with like the choreography is in a Zoom. It's like really hard at the same time, but at the same time it's like challenging and like new ways that you can do like things that we haven't tried out before.
Yeah, I feel what Humberto's saying. It's kind of like making the ballet world or making dance kind of come to terms with a new version of itself, which is probably like, it's a hard thing, it's a painful thing, but it might be ultimately a good thing, you know? And I think seeing through all of these events this past year, how much dance can be a platform for bringing people together, but also to showing people a different perspective and pushing people's boundaries of what they think and open-mindedness, and you know, trying to push our whole dance world into the new version of the future.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the future, we have like 2 minutes left, so I'm sorry I'm giving you just not a lot of time, but what do you see yourselves doing in the future? What would you like to be doing professionally or even personally?
I'm gonna go.
Sure.
I always like dream myself when I was like young, like dancing in the Royal Ballet, and because that's like the guy Carlos Acosta, the guy that I like the most. Like he danced there almost his whole career, so that was kind of like my dream in with my career.
Okay, Emily.
I think probably just to continue pushing the way I am now, dance roles I haven't gotten to dance yet, choreograph more. Yeah, just
good.
Keep going.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you everybody out there for your time, and we look forward to seeing Emily and Humberto breaking new ground in everything that they do. and look forward to seeing you on the stage, hopefully when the COVID coast is clear. We hope that you will join us tomorrow. In partnership with Telemundo, we are doing an interview. I'm doing an interview with Humberto. He's going to be back, and Javier Morales at 6 o'clock in Spanish. So thank you, Telemundo. Thank you for KC Ballet for sharing that on your social channels. So come back and join us. And then also Thursday, tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, KC Performs will, the ballet will, Kansas City Ballet will be featured in KC Performs on KCPT at 7 p.m. Also, thank you for those who have donated during this time and who have supported the ballet throughout this time. And we hope to continue to see you at our programs at the ballet. And thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Emily and Humberto. So nice to chat with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.